Hey there, welcome to episode 170 of the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program. I am your host, Managing Director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, Dan Hugo. We're recording this at 9:53 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time here in the Greater Vegas area on Tuesday, May 19, 2026. We do normally publish new episodes of this program on Tuesdays, often in the morning, so we're right on track. Who's better than us? Today's title and topic, The Road to Unconference times two. Two upcoming Unconference structured events. We'll see if we can make them happen. At the end of the day, if you are not familiar with the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, or perhaps the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program, we are a Nevada nonprofit founded in June of 2022. We are a reboot, if you like, of the Code for Vegas organization, which was part of Code for America a little bit over a decade ago. We rebooted as a standalone Nevada nonprofit corporation, and we received our 501c3 public charity determination later in 2022. So, of course, it's retroactive to June. So we have been a 501c3 public charity since June of 2022. We are coming up on the end of our fourth fiscal year. Very exciting. What else is there? Oh, you know what? Our purpose statement. I like to repeat that every once in a while so people are on the same page. Our purpose, as documented in various not so often read places, is to enable and encourage ideation, innovation, and implementation to make our communities better. Purposely vague. You didn't hear code mentioned in there once. We are not focused on code and tech. Innovation can take many forms. So let's innovate for Vegas. This is an audio program where we talk about doing just that in various ways. Initiatives, component projects, methodology, challenges that we face. And then today we're going to talk about the Smarter Smart City Challenge as the second Unconference. Although this is not the first time we're mentioning it, of course. So, but this is the road to, as in the title. So there are a few things we're going to try to accomplish over the summer. And the big thing is that we have added, this was last week's episode of this very audio program, we have added a City Camp Las Vegas 2026 Unconference event. We're aiming for September, but that's hasn't been committed. So TBD, but probably September to coincide with World City Camp Day, I think it is. It's not on their calendar yet. So going by 2025 should be second half of September, I think. So we'll do that. We'll coincide with that just because this is our first one. So we can maybe get a little bit of extra notice out in the world. So the road to Unconference times two Unconferences coming up. What is an Unconference? We'll get to that. And we'll talk about what it's going to take to make these happen, sort of. A lot of what it will take to make it happen is the people that will participate in putting it together. So that's always easy here in Vegas. So that's the rundown. I'm the managing director. We are looking for board members as of the time of this recording, or as of the date, I guess, of this recording. We're not going to get any directors in the next 3 minutes. So we keep that in mind. If you're interested in participating in this stuff and actually being a part of the governance of our organization, you know where to find me. And if you don't, we'll hit that link section soon enough. Hopefully wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the episode description, which contains the show notes, including a slightly longer than normal, but still brief summary, which I'll read to you. And the links include our normal 2 homepage links, and then some links for the upcoming events or related to. So the summary of today's episode. So we have 2 Unconference events upcoming, 1 hackathon style event in September 2026 and 1 year-long event commencing in January of 2027. These will be planned with input from those who will participate. So the more the merrier in every sense. And that is a challenge in and of itself here in Greater Vegas. Let me stick up here. Yeah, got a little punctuation there. There you go. Very nice. The links for today's episode, as I mentioned, the 2 homepages Innovate for, F-O-R, Vegas, no spaces. We have our activity homepage. This is our original, innovateforvegas.org. That's where you'll find our initiatives, component projects, participants, issues, discussions, etc. It's a website hosted on GitHub. So if you're looking for what we're up to, that's probably where you're going to go. The Innovate for Vegas, same spelling, .foundation is our business homepage. I mentioned we're a Nevada nonprofit corporation. So that's where the business side of what we're up to would be found. When we see at least two new board members. There you go. That's where you'll find pictures and links, and my contact information's on there. So if you're looking for me, there I am. And there's some other stuff to publish that if we can seat a new board, we'll get everything current, and then we'll publish some of this stuff there. It's all available in our Google Workspace at the present time. We do have free Google Workspace, Google for Nonprofits. So thanks to them for that, I suppose. One thing that is nice, it's not a lot of nice things, but one thing that is nice about the Google Workspace thing for nonprofits, so for example, we have our Smart City Vegas domain. We can use Google Workspace to add people separately to a secondary domain, such as Smart City Vegas. So as we have people that are coming together to kind of lead the facilitation, so we're the main facilitators of that, we can use the Google Workspace tools, but for the specific project and so on. So there's some nice things about it, but still, I think you know what I'm saying. The city camp, let's start at the top of the three. So those are the two homepages, two sides of the same coin. So it's not two different organizations. It's merely one aimed at participants, people in our locality, and one is aimed at the business side. So people are curious about the business side. There you go. So the top of the three additional links, citycamp.com. It's one word, citycamp. That is a website about this. It's an event that takes place in multiple cities, actually in multiple countries, based on previous events. They were, I think, before last year, before 2025, they had the most recent city camp was in 2018, I think it was. So they're bringing it back. It's essentially sort of a hackathon, or generally a discussion, conversation forum. I think it's whatever you want to make of it. Hence the Unconference. It's whatever the people participating want to make of it. So it's quite aligned with the Smarter Smart City Challenge as far as topics and focus and so on. So that will be interesting as we roll out City Camp Las Vegas 2026. And if you do go to the website, there's an About page, which gives some of the background. If we are able to use this smaller event as a sort of a introduction, like, hey, here's what it means to enable everyone to participate in some way in community elevation, learning more about where they live and tackling the things that maybe you've been thinking, I wish somebody would fix that. So talk about how you would fix it, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you can read about some of the details, and the nature of the Unconference, which we will talk about, is that the people participating sort of steer the event. So that's that. The City Camp website has an Unconference page with information about what that is. I have linked to the Wikipedia page for Unconferences just in general. So you can read either or both. Basically, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but the schedule is set by the participants. So you do some core planning, like venue, things like that. And that's where we are now with our two Unconference plans, the meta planning, as I've referred to it. And then people can sort of plan by participating, and then participate by planning, if that makes sense. So you can read about those there. And the smartcity.vegas website, smart-city.vegas, that's our site, as much of it as there is right now, for not only the Smarter Smart City Challenge, but we will also use this for City Camp in as much, I think City Camp also will have some sort of a profile page for the upcoming event. We'll touch on that a little bit. There's a Slack and so on. But yeah, Smart City Vegas is our site, so it's not a for-profit side node or anything like that. So Smart City Vegas will be used for the Smarter Smart City Challenge, and also we'll have an element, a component, maybe a subdomain for City Camp Las Vegas. So we can, we'll have all that in there. That's part of what we're going to talk about today, although not the website specifically. But essentially, this is still very much in bringing everything together mode. So we'll see. We'll see what unfolds. First thing first, Unconference. An Unconference is probably something you are familiar with without knowing it. A very loose agenda, if there is one, probably more of a theme. And the actual events of the day or days are mapped out by the people participating. Ad hoc, improvised, something like these. So the City Camp idea is an unconference by design, and the Smarter Smart City Challenge is also an unconference, although really more like multiple unconferences through 2027. There isn't one single Smarter Smart City Challenge event per se. So it's a challenge that will last through the year with multiple events. Since we do want to cast a wide net, so to speak, to enable participation across just about any axis by anyone of any age and proclivity, it makes a lot of sense to defer planning into the event in this unconference approach. So we're not going to set the tone and agenda and whatnot. We're going to set the theme. Hopefully the tone will be set by the participants, and that they will have substantial input on what actually unfolds. It makes a lot of sense then to defer the planning, as I said. But we do have something to contend with here in Greater Vegas, which I have definitely spoken of many times, which applies already to the normal meetups and gatherings that go on here, not just for our organization, but applies double or triple to something as novel here, anyway, as City Camp. And surely the Smarter Smart City Challenge is unusual anywhere. I've kind of looked around. I don't know that anyone has attempted a full year challenge. But again, it's not like every single day. It's events, but the people participating can pursue their challenge goal or goals anytime they want. So that's why it's lasting through the year. But it's not like an everyday. It's not like you go to work at the Smarter Smart City Challenge every day. But we'll see. We'll see how this all unfolds. Fingers crossed. If you happen to flip through the Wikipedia page linked for the Unconference, or you can read the City Camp description of an unconference, which is similar. Obviously, the context is more focused on City Camp in that case. You will note that awareness of the unconference is sort of presumed, especially if it is a recurring event, maybe an annual conference, or an event with broad participation at a distance, like an online community that will come together for a particular gathering or event. Unconference doesn't have to be in person, but in this case, we will. Well, certainly for City Camp, we'll aim for that. And then the Smart City Challenge, again, can be a mixture of things, multiple events through the year. People are already aware of the existence of an upcoming gathering, online or in person. And so the unconference process can take its course as part of the gathering itself. Here, there is a slight modification, or really a slight addition up front. And this is not to say that unconferences don't have pre-planning or meta-planning, as I've described it. But we have to do a lot. I don't know about a lot. We have to do some. We definitely need to do some for City Camp to get started. So if you happen, or if you happened to listen in on episodes of this program back in around January or February or so, that's when we first started talking about the Smart City Challenge. Or if you follow the page on LinkedIn for Innovate for Vegas Foundation, and then somewhere in that time frame, the Smart City Vegas page on LinkedIn. And if you actually glance at it, if you happen to be following it, which is rare, or if you have visited our website, Smart City Vegas, or even Innovate for Vegas Foundation, which Innovate for Vegas org or foundation, which point to Smart City Vegas, or if you stumbled upon the Luma calendar link somehow. And by the way, I'm not a huge fan of Luma. It kind of works, but our smart calendar thing has to enter the fray soon. You may recall my discussing a meta planning phase where we plan for the planning. This was in the context of the year-long Smarter Smart City Challenge, but it applies to City Camp Las Vegas as well. As I mentioned, we have to do some planning up front. That we can't do everything at the Unconference sort of has an assumed layer or foundation of functionality that happens ahead of time. I've mentioned these in previous episodes, and I made a casual reference earlier in this episode. Basically, we will need to tackle these specific hurdles and leap over them effortlessly, if at all possible. Getting the word out is profoundly difficult in Greater Vegas. There are a variety of factors that may lead to this sort of a communication environment. Factors that may lead to this sort of, I don't know what I meant there. If there's, I think I'm trying not to be too mean. It's very difficult to get people's attention and to get people to follow through and reshare, mention, right? Forward to friends and so on. But the fact is, we will need to use some energy to spread the word at all. So I mentioned the LinkedIn page. We have something like 190 maybe followers. That doesn't matter. Following and forgetting is the word of the day, or the words. And so someday I'll talk about this in the food truck sense. But essentially, food truck owners in the Bay Area, where I hail from more recently, I'm actually from New Jersey, they would, just as a matter of course, when Twitter was the tool, the platform to reach their customers, they would retweet each other all the time. They would tag each other. They would mention, go see our friends over there. The marketplace sort of built itself up with feedback loops and people taking the time to reshare, to call each other out, to, hey, our friends over at this allegedly competitor, but really it was more co-opetition. I don't want to go down this road too far, but generally speaking, part of the way that the marketplace was able to grow was the people in the marketplace appreciating the fact that reaching out to more people, even sending them to your competitor, would eventually draw them to you, because the marketplace of customers and the marketplace of food trucks were moving around. So really, you would run into these people. The more people there were to run into, the more likely you would. So any opportunity to elevate the marketplace was a good idea. So I don't find that to be true here in the Greater Vegas area as easily as it was there. And I can say this from the perspective of someone who formed an owners association for mobile food vendors or mobile vendors in the Bay Area and also in Vegas. And it's a vastly different culture here in the Greater Vegas area. So that's, make of it what you will. So we have to get the word out starting January. In order to reach youth participants in a safe and responsible way, it makes a lot of sense to reach out to educators and mentors, as well as parents and guardians, so that young people can participate safely and ideally with their friends, classmates, or even one of their teachers, maybe two, or maybe some family members. There is no structure implied. Join in any way that makes sense. But we do want to keep it safe. So we will reach out to the adults, and the adults can engage with the young people in their orbits, whether you're a teacher in a classroom or parents, etc. This has proven to be far more challenging than one might imagine. So starting a couple of months ago, it made sense, and it still does, to do proactive outreach and research. So fingers crossed that people will actually go, oh, this does sound interesting. That has been now what we end up with is, oh, that does sound interesting. And then I say, so can you tell other people? Nothing happens. Given that both of these Unconference events are novel here in Vegas, we have no community of people already familiar. So we don't have people saying, oh yes, just like last year. We will need time to gather a cadre of early adopters. Let me fix a little typo here. Cadre of early adopters, as I was referring to this special group, so I call them a cadre, which that is what a cadre is, who can help with the meta planning to make sure we are on a path that makes sense to the casual participant and all others involved. We don't want to plan this event out in a closed room and then come to realize late in the game that we have not taken into account things that we should have. So I don't know if you heard that, production by street. So people who want to participate can participate in the event itself, can participate in the planning, so that we make sure we are reading the will of the people, so to speak. We need to plan for the planning that will be part of the Unconference, and so that's where we are today. If we can gather that cadre of early adopters, these are the people who can help to get the word out to their peers and like-minded colleagues and so on. Those interested in community elevation. Why did I write interesting? Who types this stuff? Those interested in community elevation, civic hacking, basically the themes of these two Unconference events. It's not a hackathon to build something whimsical or the theme to build a product of some sort. Maybe there's a product that comes out of this, but it's a little bit more broad in possibility, especially the Smarter Smart City Challenge. And the effort would point back into the community. So rather than trying to build something that's pointing out, you point in. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So we need to get the word out about these Unconference events using the power of word of mouth at the very least. There are some logistical and operational considerations like venue selection for the city camp, for the Smarter Smart City Challenge. Hopefully there will be a few kind of a moving multi-location possibility. We'll talk about that more later. Sponsors for snacks would be nice, maybe some incentives and prizes. And by the way, we will try to get food trucks involved, certainly in the Smarter Smart City Challenge, and so on. Accomplishing this for the Smarter Smart City Challenge in general will take some time, but the entire year need not be mapped out entirely. And in fact, the Unconference approach can apply through the year as long as we have some foundational elements in place. So friendly venues as a starting point, sponsors, of course, would be nice. And these will be similar to the elements of the foundation of City Camp, though hopefully bigger or more. So the City Camp will be, and I'm going to say this again, but I don't want to refer to City Camp as the dry run or the boot camp for Smarter Smart City Challenge. The City Camp is its own event. The people that have put it together have done a nice thing by enabling others to have a similar event. They've kind of taken care of the foundational foundation. They've kind of packed the earth on which the foundation is built. So they've set up a few things, the name, the brand, if you will, some what do you call it? I'm totally drawing a blank. The code of conduct. Thank you. Code of conduct. They have a playbook to help you get started. They have this Slack, which I'm not a fan of Slack for something like this, but it is what it is. So they've set up a Slack. At the very least, you can interact with other people throwing or organizing events of similar nature around elsewhere. So it's they've laid the groundwork for City Camp, and as I mentioned, months ago, the Smarter Smart City Challenge is not unlike some of the City Camp, or some aspects of the City Camp, although it is spread across an entire year. And probably, I would argue that where City Camp, in the interest of making the most of the time, because it's basically, like I said, like a hackathon style weekend or similar. The fact that Smarter Smart City Challenge is planned through the year means you can cover a lot more topics, focus on a more broad range of possibilities, and so on. So there are differences, but fundamentally they are very similar. I'm not going to sing, but I have this section heading summertime, summertime. Anyway, we have tried some outreach to our Southern Nevada educators, unfortunately via LinkedIn. That's not how normal people interact, and LinkedIn is getting worse by the day. Sadly, we received absolutely zero interest or response of any kind. That's encouraging. This should boggle the mind, but it is on par for it is par for the course in Vegas, not just when reaching out to educators, but pretty much anyone. Which is why our meta planning timeline needs that lead time for reaching pretty much anyone. not only educators, but we definitely want to have those in the education field in general on board for planning and so on. That's so that they can fit in any classroom activities that might coincide before or after, probably after, so we can help reach students or more likely their parents or guardians over the summer, and then students during the first part of the school year, because we are doing this in September, if that plan holds. And so we can hit the ground running when September does roll around, which it will soon enough. Summer passes very quickly. Ask any student anywhere. September is a tentative selection since there will, or allegedly, there is a World City Camp event on, I believe it is the third weekend of September. It might be a single day, which is not yet on the City Camp website for 2026. So this is a guess based on 2025. There's nothing anywhere that says this is a requirement. We don't have to have the event on a particular day. And although they do, when describing the World City Camp Day, they do mention that some events are scheduled at the same time, so in different places. So we can do it, we can move it. It's not set in stone. Our meta planning cadre can ponder this, among other things. Is September not going to work? Should we do it in the early October? Should we do it some other time? Ideally, we will be able to have our City Camp Las Vegas 2026 event prior to Smarter Smart City Challenge starting. And guess what? We can have a City Camp Las Vegas 2027 that will be during the Smarter Smart City Challenge. What else do we got here? We started off having weekly, although we actually did go semi-weekly for a brief window, and we were going to try to kick off the Smarter Smart City Challenge March 1st. But we had weekly, semi-weekly, and now we have monthly, since Smarter Smart City Challenge has now been deferred until January of 2027. So we have monthly online meetups, first Wednesday each month. So we had 2 people show up one time only, and we didn't get very far for the initial meetup. I think that was in February. Then they disappeared. That's totally Vegas. So we moved it to first Wednesday monthly meetups, not only because of the deferred schedule, but because if nobody wants to show up, then we're not going to set up a weekly time to be ignored. That's no fun. So first Wednesday, trying to get the word out about that has been a challenge. I anticipate having more meetup opportunities for 2 main reasons as the summer progresses. First, we may have people who are interested. I keep writing interesting. That's very weird. Interested in joining in based on invites from those who did attend. So in other words, hopefully we'll have a self-reinforcing conversation where people will say, hey, yeah, you should join in next week instead of next month. Monthly is not quite often enough for that. So if we can start to build up an interested group of people that will tell their friends, hopefully we'll grow that group during the summer. That was the whole notion of an early adopter approach, was to get people who are truly interested to come to meetups and have these discussions about meta planning. And then hopefully they would be a part of the group of people who would help amplify the word of mouth effort, the virality. So how's that going? I'll let you know when it starts. And as well, there will be people who do not return. That is something I've grown used to. I think all volunteer organizations know what that means. That's the nature of these things. So we sort of need to hedge our meetup bets, if you will. We also need the time to simply get the word out that we're having these meetups. That is a challenge within a challenge. Quite the hill to climb, as always. So Vegas is a place where you pretty much got to get going. You got to bootstrap yourself and then see what happens. I get a lot of show me what you got or good luck with that. Well, that's the way it is. Not everybody can be a founder. Tools, methods, and motive. That's a little riff on means, motive, and opportunity, I suppose. The City Camp event is an opportunity to shine a light on engagement with our locality, aiming at innovation and solving problems or making things better in some way. Presenting a 1-year Smarter Smart City Challenge to an uninitiated populace might violate Raymond Loewy's approach, Maya. I never remember what the first M is. So I'm going to make sure I think it's minimally advanced yet acceptable. Minimally advanced? maximally. Anyway, it's don't overdo it. Try to make it interesting without making it overwhelming. Really, the sort of expanded description would be that you should offer something familiar and make it surprising. So rather than saying, hey, you're going to spend all year doing this, and that's sort of off-putting, you say, hey, would you like an opportunity to do city camp, but through the whole year if you didn't have an opportunity to participate? And then hopefully we'll have some people who did enjoy their participation, and we'll have a little testimonial and so on. So we don't need to use the word hackathon to label the city camp. It probably, I don't imagine the city camp will proceed like a normal stay awake all night weekend thing. Those tend to be a little bit off-putting for people who have a job. But that remains to be seen. That's why we're doing this. The unconference structure enables the people to decide what that schedule will be like. We don't need to use the word hackathon to label it, so we probably won't. That will cut down on confusion and consternation. Is that a ding word? I think so. In the people that would consider participating. Oh, I don't want to stay awake for 2 days, that kind of thing. So we don't have to go down the road. Piece of cake. I mentioned the city camp people maintain a Slack, and I've created per their instructions. I think if you go to the website, you'll see, so you want to organize a city camp. I've created the CC-LAS-VEGAS, CC Las Vegas, channel on their Slack, as they suggest, though I personally do not find Slack to be a great idea for something like this. The illusion of organization and communication, Slack tends to be a place where you kind of need to know that there's a conversation or a piece of information that you can find. That's just my experience with Slack. So people that are using it every day in their workplace, that's one thing. But people who are using it as a resource or a reference, I don't think this is the way to go. But what do I know? So it provides the illusion of communication and organization. But as volunteers pursuing the meta planning stage, I think Slack is not quite the right tool. I do intend, though, to learn what works as we approach the city camp date. So I have to look at the greater Vegas context, the people within, the people who are willing to join in, and so on. So we can apply what we learned to the year-long planning of the Smarter Smart City Challenge. And yes, I need to clarify this now that I said it. A year-long and like city camp? So hang on. There are a few Innovate for Vegas Foundation initiatives, or at least components of these, that could prove useful in this effort as we approach September and then January. So hopefully we'll spend some time on those and maybe test them in situ, make them alive for our endeavors. That's why we're doing this anyway. By way of examples, not an exhaustive rundown, but I will mention among those initiatives, Agile for Volunteers to help coordinate what we need to accomplish and who will tackle particular tasks with plans of execution. This will help coordinate efforts when people disappear, which is what Agile for Volunteers is designed for better or worse. And will make it easier to point to attribution, recognition, and celebration of those who make things go. This is actually an important element of our policies at the foundation. People who volunteer their time, effort, and expertise get some light shining upon them. This is less common than you would imagine. Unless they don't want that, then they can opt out. I think technically you opt in. You kind of say, hey, if you don't want to, technically, the presumption is that people want to have some sort of minimal credit, but you can say, no, I don't want to be mentioned. You can mark yourself as private in GitHub, etc. These are pretty usual things. We also have they're usual, but they're not widely deployed. It's bizarre. I think I've talked about this in a previous episode, but we'll just say that people who participate should receive some credit. That's our policy. We also have the Challengers initiative, Challengers, to recognize and celebrate those who participate in such challenges like Smarter Smart City Challenge, whether students or otherwise. So certainly aimed at students, but not for only students, so that we can shine some of that light on people who are being innovative in one way or another, under various circumstances and in various contexts. I usually refer to the U.S. Congressional Apps Challenge, the Congressional Art Competition. So it's not a challenge, but it still is. The NASA Space Apps Challenge, which we facilitated 2023, but which received no attention here in Vegas. So getting people to even know that their peers, their friends, their colleagues, their children, their students are trying these things is difficult. Doesn't receive it. We have to tear down a casino. We must demolish a building or construct one, or bring a professional sports team here. Otherwise, we don't get much coverage. So there isn't much in the way of recognition and celebration at large. And again, like from our local news media, for example, which could care less by all indications. The MuniBits initiative will be a larger work in progress, but might fit in here. That's information sharing for cities or communities or municipalities like a city. And personally, I would like to see Talks.Vegas get back into the sunlight for City Camp, and definitely for the Smarter Smart City Challenge. If you're not familiar with Talks.Vegas, I've talked about that in a previous episode, but it has been a while. So we'll probably take a look at that in an upcoming episode if it proves to be interesting. Essentially, it's an unencumbered version of TED Talks, Ignite Talks. So we could do lightning talks, and we can do, what's it, Pachacucha? I always forget the pronunciation of that. I think it's Pachacucha. Or anything else we want. So Talks.Vegas is about educating, enlightening, and entertaining. Hopefully that will happen. Hopefully that will happen during the City Camp, and almost certainly during the Smarter Smart City Challenge. There will be some other tools and methods at our disposal. We can talk about these during our online meetups. That's what those are for. Now, to be clear about the whole 1 year thing, I've hand-waved this a little bit in this episode, and while I have gone into some more detail in previous episodes about the challenge, the Smarter Smart City Challenge, in the context of organizing City Camp before the challenge will be an interesting dry run of sorts, though again, I do not want to diminish City Camp by referring to it as a dry run for our event. But as far as the meta planning side, the people that will be involved in the planning for the planning, so to speak, there's a sort of a dry run aspect to it. So planning any event, the City Camp happens to be close enough in tenor to the Smarter Smart City Challenge that a lot of things will kind of align. Hopefully there will be this is very similar sort of feel to it. For the challenge, the Smarter Smart City Challenge, the 1 year timeline is aimed at enabling more people to participate when and how they want to or are able to based on their own schedules. So where City Camp will be one weekend, most likely, and then if you can't make it, you can't make it. Whereas the Smarter Smart City Challenge is for any time during the year. You don't have to participate in any particular event. If you want to participate in the challenge itself, you can do so at your own pace, on your own schedule. If you want to spend 1 hour a week for 52 weeks, that's basically a hackathon weekend right there. Or you can participate in multiple challenges. If you have a couple of teams you want to work with, you want to work on your own, whatever it is, you can do whatever you want. So not every single day of the year-long timeline is accounted for. We're not crazy. This is a volunteer effort. But we will probably talk about whether we want to have actual hackathons for those who would enjoy those, for example, or in-person meetups, just to kind of let other people know that, oh yeah, you're doing this too. Okay, yeah. Online meetups, of course, those are a little bit easier to organize and so on. Demo days to show, hey, what are you working on? How are things coming along, etc. Learning resources, reference information, and so on. And any gatherings that those might imply. I would like to see participation from various subject matter experts working with city and county. I doubt we'll get that, but that's where we live. And of course, some finale presentation action, maybe judging of some sort for prizes and recognition and whatnot. Maybe some other incentives along the way. So there should be a lot of stuff going on. A year of innovation, if you'd like. And then who knows, maybe there'll be another year after that. The challenge being an unconference also, we will ideally be able to invite those taking part to play various roles, getting different events of various types sorted through the year, making the challenge a product of the people who are participating, sort of like locals. And you don't have to be a Vegas local to participate, but if you do participate, you kind of are now making our smart city smarter for the people who live in it and making these events come together for people participating in it. Now that is meta planning, right? So there you go. That's the rundown. Will people participate? Don't know. Will we have enough critical mass to make City Camp happen? Don't know. I will tell you one major challenge, and it's something that I will draw a hard line, a line in the sand maybe, but a hard line. So it'll be tightly packed sand. We are not going to have City Camp if 2 people show up. So there must be a critical mass. 100 seems like a good round number. We will not be selling our locals short by limping across a finish line. There have to be people interested in this. Otherwise, it's not worth the time of the people who are interested in it. So if it's 5 people, we'll go to a coffee shop and hang out. There will not be a formal event. So we're going to have like a reserve participation number. Similarly with Smart City Challenge, I believe because it is so broadly aimed, if we don't have a core group of people of at least 150-ish, maybe 200, just because of the scope and scale of that undertaking, there has to be a little bit more interest. But what we really want is more than 1,500 people to participate through the year total, right, by the end. So we want to have a large population of local innovators joining in and making something happen for their communities, for their neighborhoods, and so on. To be a part of this Greater Vegas is the global innovation hub of all hubs. So this should not be too difficult. But getting the word out obviously would be the first step, and it has not so far proven to be so easy. So we'll see what happens. By the way, yes, I have reached out to the local media entities, print media, virtual, online print media, TV media, independent papers, the normal municipal, official municipal papers of record. Nothing, which is comical. So we'll see what happens. And it will be people like you listening to this audio program who might help to make this happen. So consider it. And you can find the calendar link on the Smart City website, Smart City Vegas. There's a link to the Luma. I don't know that we're going to stick with Luma forever. It's been an experiment. And while it is minimally functional, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Smart-City Vegas to get started if you're interested in this. As I'm speaking right now, as always, the website is not current because we just added the City Camp to the schedule 2 weeks ago, I think it was. So we have to, there's work to do. And that is that. And please, by the way, if you're going to show up, if you do want to participate, say things, speak, respond to emails, participate in the conversation. Don't disappear. And if you're going to disappear, just disappear. The Irish goodbye has a reason. It's where you kind of slip out the back and you don't say goodbye to everybody. You just leave. Do that. Because I'm really hoping we'll have people who are serious about doing this, and we should spend our time on that, on making these happen and positive outcomes, not on shenanigans, kerfuffles, other such things. So I'm looking forward to interacting with you, perhaps, or some of your friends. Bring them along to our, I think our next meetup is June 3rd. You can find that on the website. Yes, June 3rd, 2026. And if we can start building up some momentum over the summer, we'll have these meetups more frequently than monthly for obvious reasons. That would only give us 4 meetups between now and City Camp Las Vegas 2026, and we may need a couple more. So we will keep that flexibility in mind, and we will be looking for you at the next meetup. Thanks for listening as always. Thank you for your support of our Innovate for Vegas Foundation, cultivating a culture of innovation here in Greater Vegas with an eye to the future. Take care now. Thanks.